Welcome to the desert of the real.
I was speaking with a couple of my friends, and I found out something, and I wanted some clarity because I noticed that a lot of times when we as conscious people talk and we're communicating, because we're so used to talking with each other, we assume that everybody knows what we're talking about. And one of the phrases that I mention all of the time, and one of my friends told me they didn't know what the phrase meant, is the term infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And I wanted you to give the people an explanation of what exactly is infrastructure as a concept, and how does that relate to what's going on in Haiti right now?
Well, Haiti has infrastructure as a concept is basically, it's almost like what the foundation, infrastructure to a system is what the foundation of your house is to your home. Without a proper foundation, your house is going to collapse. Without a proper infrastructure, your system is going to collapse. And you can break the infrastructure into different components. You have an infrastructure that deals with water, purification, and delivery. You have an infrastructure that deals with power, utilities. You have an infrastructure that deals with transportation. You have an infrastructure that deals with communication. You have an infrastructure that deals with health. You have an infrastructure that deals with food, the transportation networks, and everything related to that. You have an infrastructure that deals with fuel and its delivery. All these things are different infrastructures, and Haiti lacks a let's say, a strong infrastructure. It's very weak. And black folks in the United States generally don't have an infrastructure. We have an infrastructure that we're dependent on, which is the United States government's infrastructure. So we have, in the belief that we've assimilated into the system, and largely we have. We have a kind of black president, and I don't say that in a derogatory way. Not at all. But what I mean is that, look, I mean, Barack and I are basically, we could be relatives in the way that we look. But Barack, the difference between Barack and I is that, not the fact that he had a white mother, no, that's not the issue. The difference is what he grew up in. He grew up within a white household. He grew up within the white culture. I grew up within the black culture, and I'm sure that, you brothers have as well. So we are different kinds of black folks than Barack is. So, Barack is different, and, we there's an infrastructure, in getting an infrastructure with black people, we think because Barack was elected president that, okay, we're in, and, maybe we're official Americans, but, we really haven't pressed the issue. We haven't faced anything where you see how truly American you are. Like, I think that the New Orleans situation was the litmus test.
Right.
I think there's a lot of, this isn't even a racial thing. This just has to do with the fact that, it's almost as if we're not doing our part anymore. We're kind of expecting, maybe because of what we've gone through, maybe because of what we've experienced in the United States, that we're expecting, the system to kind of make up for that. And I don't think that that's a good idea. I think that, we dropped the ball. And I think that a lot of the things that we used to do that we no longer do, we've given up on it. We've become completely dependent on the systemic infrastructure, and we're not even interested in creating our own. And also our own models. And I know you can appreciate that, Mark, because I'm saying, conscious white folks, and I hate to even talk like that, but conscious, what I mean by I hate to talk like that, I just don't like to even break it down into these categories that have been created by, for the most part, white supremacists who divided the human race. There's only one human race. It's only people, but this is what we use. But anyway, the conscious people within the Caucasian community have always stepped away from what the development of this system. You think of Thoreau, who used to talk about what good is a nice house if you don't have a good planet to put it on. This guy was a naturalist before naturalists, the kinds that you have now. Mm-hmm. But there've always been people like that, and but it's you know, they're in the contrary. They're not the majority, they're the minority. They've always been people who just want to flow with nature and move. And look at, you know, we've chosen to embrace this stuff. Conscious white folks reject it, and we don't even follow behind them. We follow behind the most wasteful, the most foul, and the most really useless folk that we can dig up and try to, copy their habits, and drive around in the biggest cars, and, like you see Puffy and the rest of them profile, and it's always like, what they want to be like Trump, and they want to be like all these capitalists. But you have the conscious white people who will look at that and say, what in the hell are you doing that for? Why are you driving that Escalade? Why don't you drive a smaller car? Why are you doing this? And it's very sad that we haven't achieved that position where we can, think and to recognize that this model that we're emulating, this template that we're using to kind of etch what they think is successful, it's a very bad template to use. So naturally, we ain't going to build an infrastructure. Shoot, we don't need an infrastructure. That's part of the whole waste thing. You got to be like a rich person and depend on somebody else to do it. And so we don't have one. And you know what? We ain't going to get one either because it takes too long to build it. We can get a small one. We can get it in pockets. Like, for instance, around the world there's a movement called the Transitions Movement. People don't know about it. And that's where you have, it's mostly conscious, Caucasian folk who've gotten together, and they've decided that, this system is a bubble and it's going to burst. And when it does, we don't want to get the soap all over our faces and in our eyes because it stings. So what we're going to do is we're going to create pockets of sanity where we have communities that we build that are away from the mega cities and that have all of the amenities that the mega cities do. We grow our own food. We have our own medical clinics. We make our own tools. We make our own equipment. We take some of this fine technology out of the system and we rebuild, but we rebuild with a better model. It's called the Transitions Movement. Very serious.
I notice a lot of those are popping up. Like you have the Zeitgeist Movement.
Right.
Too.
Yes, the Zeitgeist Movement is part of the Transitions Movement.
Right.
The Zeitgeist, there's the Venus Society, all these other different groups. Listen, right. It's a serious movement. They're not excluding. They want everybody to participate. But we're not even on page one with that. Now, here you have these people who recognize the weaknesses in their system. They know their system is going to fail. They know it. Most of their relatives built it. Black folks are like up and down and jumping up and down in the air for Barack Obama. Fine. I will say this on the record. I think that Barack is a fine man. He's a good man. He's a good man. He's a loving husband. He's an intelligent man. But on the other hand, he's a Harvard dude. And most of the cats that came out of Harvard are the ones that put this system in the position that it's in today.
Right.
And the thing is that what are we jumping up and down for? What are we jumping up and down for? Not someone who is going to change the system, but someone who's going to try to preserve this system and maintain the status quo. That's what Barack Obama's job is. It's not to change it. The people that change it completely go off on a tangent and go in another direction. And the thing is that so our people are completely out of the realm of, we're the extreme minority, people that think like us. And so infrastructure building is abstract to us. And even the best of us can't get it done. As I think I told you earlier, like Dr. Mae Jemison, right? And it is a company called Biosentient. It's a wonderful company to go into Africa to purify water and to build farms, using aquaponics, hydroponics, and do all these wonderful things that she knows how to do. Chemical engineer and MD, 5 languages. Remember we were speaking about that?
Right.
She can't get it off the ground with our folk. She can't go to the black community and say, listen, I have a great idea. This is what we need to do.
Man, I got to repeat what you just said because that is beyond bizarre. Ambassador, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. He said that infrastructure for our people is an abstract. That is like an alternate bizarro world right there, where infrastructure is the basis of you forming your nation. If you're talking about nationalism, if you're talking about a society, a culture, a community, and you don't have an infrastructure as an abstract, then it's no wonder why we're in the position that we're in right now.